You're watching Thrifty Kaniffy. Hello everyone, and welcome to Thrifty Kaniffy. Today's video is going to be a review and comparison combination. What we're going to be looking at is the Schrade LB7 Bear Paw. I've got two examples here. One is an American-made one from around 1993, so late into Schrade's production of the LB7 before they moved any manufacturing overseas. Well, actually before they sold to Taylor's brands. Okay, and you can see this is LB7 Bear Paw Lockback. Says right here on the box, proudly made in the USA. And then this one is Taylor's Schrade, Uncle Henry. The box says 2006, but I think it's actually more recent than that. It's I think 2008 or something like that. But there you see on the side, it's made by Taylor's brand LLC. So 1993 and 2008. 1993, 2008. All right, and before we get into the knives, let's quickly look at the sheaves and make a little quick comparison about those. Quickly, very quickly, this is a heavier material. It's stiffer. This is the American one. The Chinese one is more supple, but not as firm, and you can see it's flexible. You can bend it. It's a little thinner, and if we weigh these, you can see that there's pretty significant difference in their weight. The American one comes in at 2.3 ounces, and the Chinese one comes in at 1.7 ounces. Alright, so enough about the sheaves. Let's get into the knives. First main difference I've found about the two is the wood material that they use. Now this one is a darker material and also seems to have sort of a lacquer finish to it, or some sort of polypropylene or some sort of finish on the handle material to give it a glossy finish. So this one has more of a matte finish and doesn't appear to have really anything added, maybe other than like a stain or something. So the other difference you'll see is the pins that they use are larger diameter on the American made knife. These are smaller, and the middle one is a brass pin, where this one appears to be stainless or nickel silver, not sure, but definitely not brass. Okay, so then if you look at the weights of the two, you start to notice other things that come into play here. There's the American one, 7.934 ounces, 7.935 ounces, okay, and then the Chinese one is just 7.181. Now, some of the reasons for that is that we have this bolster thickness up here at the top, measuring on the Chinese one at right about 13.95, let's call it, millimeters. Okay, and let's try to make sure we compare the same thing. Yeah, okay, and then this one comes in at 15.3, so it's a thicker knife, thicker handle. And now also you'll see the blades are slightly different. Get these opened up here. Alright, so let's compare the blades. We have the swedge is more pronounced on the Chinese knife than it is the American one. And so then when you look at the profile from the top of the spine, you can see that this knife right around in this area is considerably thicker than it is on the knife on the right, the Chinese knife. So the swedging is just a little different, and also the grind is just slightly different. I think the grind begins a little higher on the blade here than it does on the Chinese one, which is more centered right in the middle of the blade, whereas this one's just a little bit on the high side where the grind begins. But pretty darn similar. They haven't done much to change it. Of course, the tanks read differently. You've got the American-made one on the left there that says USA on it, Schrade Plus, and then this one here just says Schrade, and then the model number for that one's on the back saying China. This one doesn't have anything on the back. So those are the primary differences I found. One other cute little comparison here that you might be interested in, as you'll remember, this was 7.9 ounces. So I thought I would compare that to the Buck 110 just to see how that compared weight-wise. And okay, so 7.935, that one. Here's the Buck 110. Let me just got that right here on hand. And this is the new Buck. This is the Chinese, or excuse me, it's American-made Buck, but it's 2021. It's a recent Buck, and it only measures 7.282. So be curious to see if like an older Buck from the 70s would weigh more than the new one. I'm gonna guess that yes, it would. But just interesting that the old Uncle Henry weighs even more than the knife that gets all the complaints for being heavy. You know, at 7.2 ounces, you have a knife that weighs, you know, another almost 3/4 of an ounce heavier. So just an interesting little thing I thought I'd throw in there. But all in all, you know, they're both great knives. I don't have any complaints about the Chinese one, even with the, you know, the trim downs and the cost savings. And obviously there's things they're doing that maybe aren't as nice as the old ones, but it's still only like a $24 knife on Chicago Knife Works. I mean, so it's hard to really judge this up against an American-made knife when you're still able to get this for $24. It's not like they're charging you so much more now that that you feel like you need to go find an American one to get the quality that you want. So yeah, you can see it's well centered. Just a great knife. It's my favorite Uncle Henry, probably, because of the wood material. One of the things I don't really care for on the Uncle Henrys is the handle material. They're, I guess, faux jigging that's on that plastic. It just never has appealed to me. It looks cheap and feels cheap, and I've just never been a fan of it. So when they put out a knife with the wood on an Uncle Henry, I'm much more apt to buy it. But there you go, guys, a little comparison. Give a shout out to my son who bought this for me for Christmas, this 1993 Uncle Henry. So thank you, kiddo. Appreciate that for good old dad. And was lucky to have found a really nice example on eBay that was never used. So there you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the review. Hope you guys have a fantastic Christmas tomorrow. And everyone take care.